Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the 2022 Senate elections, and this will be part 1 of 2 of one of these videos called Republican Targets. So we're going to start out, just fill out the states that are not going to change. Um, Stuff could change, but I don't think any of these states are going to come into play for the Republican Party anytime soon, uh, at the Senate level. So, yeah. And then I think I'm missing one blue state, right? Oh yeah, John Ossoff in Georgia. That's what I was missing. So, yeah, and this will be a Republican video, so we're just gonna assume that Iowa, Missouri, and Ohio are safe Republican. South Carolina, Florida's gonna be likely, but I don't think it's gonna come into play. Murkowski and Last probably gonna hold. So yeah, like I said, these are the competitive races now. First, the Republicans, I think, on this map, they have to hold Wisconsin if they want to win the Senate, because I do think that right now they're the slight favorite. But again, this is a Biden state. But the only reason I'm putting this as safe, or as not safe, or as tilting Republican as opposed to tilting Democrat, is because Wisconsin. I mean, Janet Bewley might run for the Democrat, but the Democrats don't really have a great candidate there. Ron Kind, I guess, but I don't think he's going to run. So, again, we'll have to see. But Wisconsin would essentially. I'm putting it as Republican because the incumbent is a Republican and because the Democrats don't have a great candidate to field there. It'll be close, but I think the Republicans are going to hold. Plus, they won the House vote in Wisconsin in 2020. So there are some split ticket voters, like, Republicans voted for Biden. So, yeah. So, however, I do think just to start out, I think of these states, the Republicans' best target right now would be New Hampshire. This is mostly because this is a Biden +7 state, but I do think that Chris Sununu has tremendous crossover appeal. I mean, he really does have the ability to. Wait, that's interesting. He really does have the ability to kind of appeal to Democrats. I mean, he won re-election as governor by 30 points, and he probably wouldn't win the Senate race by that much. We're probably talking about, in all likelihood, him winning the Senate race by single digits, but I do think he'd be favored. So yeah, I do think that Sununu would hold on in this scenario. So yeah, or not hold on, but he'd be able to flip the seats. That's the Republicans' best target. And I think they'd also probably have to hold. Let's just assume that they hold Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and even if they do hold both these seats, and I don't think they're going to hold Pennsylvania with John Fetterman there. So actually, we're going to give Pennsylvania to the Democrats because this will be my current prediction for Republican held seats plus seats that are held by Democrats. So I think Pennsylvania is going to flip, and I say this because John Fetterman is a great candidate. I think he's going to hold on to the suburbs. He might do a little worse than Biden, but he won't do worse enough to make him lose because he's going to be doing a lot better in these rural areas that Trump ran up the score, and he kind of maxed out his rural support. I don't think that whoever the Republicans run, even if it is Ryan Costello, would be able to do even close to as well as Trump did against Fetterman, who has appealed to these voters. So yeah, and I think he'd do similar in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, maybe better in Pittsburgh. So yeah, I do think Fetterman is going to win Pennsylvania, though. However, North Carolina will just a Republican. It's going to be very close, but I don't think Mark Walker is a bad enough candidate for the state to flip in a Biden midterm. So yeah. Now, it's going to come down to a few Sunbelt states for these Republican targets. First, I think their best target right now is surprisingly Nevada. And, most of you would probably say Georgia, and we'll get to Georgia in a second, but I think Nevada is because Nevada has been it trended blue, like it had been trending blue for a long time until it finally flipped in 2008 for the Democrats, because they won a Senate race there in 2004, but, they really actually started winning races there in 2008 with Obama. Then, they held their Senate seat there in 2010. They lost the Senate race in 2012, but that was their one loss. Then in 2014, Brian Sandoval won the governor's race, but again, I don't really count that because it's a governor's race, and he had crossover appeal, was a very kind of moderate Republican. Like, that would be saying that, the Republicans have had success in New Hampshire because of Sununu and Vermont because of Phil Scott. But Nevada has been not really great for Republicans, but I think, Nevada, Obama won it by 13 in 2008, and he won it by 6 or 7 in 2012. And it narrowed up again in 2016. I mean, Clinton won it by only 2.4%. Biden won it by basically the exact same margin. So I don't necessarily think that Nevada is actually trending blue anymore. I think it's going to stay the same. We're going to see lean Democratic victories, but the Republicans have a decent shot of an upset here. Like if they run Sandoval, I think would be the favorite to win the seat if he does run. But I'm not betting on him running, so I'm going to say right now that if they run, I'm not sure who they're going to run. Mark Modi could, but no, he's running for governor, I think. But like I said, we'll have to see. So, but if the Republicans run someone who runs a decent campaign, they can absolutely flip this state. So yeah. Now, obviously, the second would be Georgia. I think the Republicans they're kind of in trouble in Georgia because on one hand, Loeffler's not going to run again. I don't think Perdue would run again because they just lost, especially Loeffler, who lost by like 95,000 votes to Warnock. But going back to what I was saying, there's one end of the Republican Party. I think Loeffler and Perdue included, but them plus Brian Kemp plus Brad Raffensperger, just these Republicans that are not trusted by the Trump base. And right now, the Trump base is the vast majority of the Republican Party, and they don't trust they don't trust Kemp and Raffensperger. They think that they didn't fight hard enough for Trump to overturn the election results in Georgia, because I guess because they think it's rigged. And they think that Kemp and Raffensperger have I guess a moral duty to do, not maybe moral, but they're expected to do that because they're Republicans, which is not the way it works. I mean, Joe Biden won the state of Georgia fairly, so yeah. Now, on the other hand, you have candidates like Doug Collins and Marjorie Taylor Greene. First of all, Marjorie Taylor Greene would get crushed by Warnock. She'd lose by like 6 to 8% probably, because she has no suburbs. She'd get destroyed in the suburbs. She'd get destroyed in the Atlanta area, and she'd probably do even worse among black voters. And she supports the QAnon conspiracy theory, and that would not help her even in rural areas where she'd still be super. She's the most polarizing person in Georgia right now. So yeah. So Georgia, I don't think is flippable right now for the Republic. It's flippable, but they're not favored at all. And especially with Warnock winning in a runoff, I think he'd win in a midterm 2 years later. So I don't think that the Republicans are going to win Georgia. But we will have to see. But that's still a target for them. Now, our next state that we're going to see is Arizona. And this is, I think, the least vulnerable of these, Democratic held seats. Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, and New Hampshire are definitely the most vulnerable Democratic states. But I think Arizona is definitely the least vulnerable because the Republicans have no candidates there. I mean, similar to Georgia, I think Georgia and Arizona you could put in the same boat in that these are states that Biden barely won and that the Democrats only won by lean margins in the Senate races. But still, Arizona still just really. I mean, it's trending blue really quick, first of all. And second, what was I going to say? Second, the Republicans have no good candidates. I mean, like I said, on one hand, you have I guess in Arizona, your Doug Duceys of the world, and I guess Jeff Flakes too, but he's not going to run. Jeff Flakes and Doug Duceys of the world, who are really just not liked by the Trump base, because, like I said, they didn't overturn the election in Trump's favor. Plus, Jeff Flake has been an anti-Trump Republican, since the beginning. And on the other hand, you have polarizing figures like Kelly Ward and, I mentioned Marjorie Taylor Greene in Georgia. Kelly Ward, I guess, in Arizona because she primaried John McCain. She is a very right-wing Republican. In Arizona, they like moderate candidates. I mean, that's why Jeff Flake and John McCain won these Senate races, but yet, I guess Martha McSally, who is much more right-wing, didn't. So Donald Trump also lost the state of Arizona, being the first Republican to do so since the 90s. So, yes, I think the Republican target's ranked. I guess we're going to just... New Hampshire would be number 1. Nevada would be number 2. In this case, we're going to make it likely. Georgia would be number 3, so it's going to be lean. And then Arizona would be number 4. I hope you all see that as dark green. Well, light green. I guess dark light green. I don't know how to describe that, to be honest. So, hopefully you watched the whole video. If you did, thank you. I appreciate it so much. I mean, most of you probably just skip to the end and see this part. But, yeah, so that's essentially it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please hit that like button. Hit the notification bell. Subscribe if you haven't already. I have a newsletter that comes out every week, so I'll actually put that in the description. So thank you all for watching this video. I'll see you all in the next one. Have a great rest of your day.